There's a desert in southeastern Oregon where geothermal pools sit at the edge of a dry lake bed the size of Rhode Island. Snow-covered peaks rise nearly 10,000 feet straight up from the playa floor, and raw land sells for $300 an acre. The nearest traffic light is 60 miles away. Almost nobody is buying. That's location number 5. But we start somewhere even more impossible. Forgotten corners of America where you can own land for less than a used car. 15 places so beautiful they don't look real, and so cheap the prices feel like a mistake. This is Townscope USA. Let's go. The average American's dream, a piece of land you can call your own. The average response from the real estate industry, you can't afford it. The media, the algorithm, and the housing market have all agreed on a story that if you want mountains, canyons, rivers, forests, or skies full of stars, you need a portfolio first. That is a lie, and I'm going to prove it 15 times. Every location on this list is real. Every price is verified. Some of these have raw land under $500 an acre. Some have buildable lots for $2,000. Some have full homesteads with acreage under $150,000. All of them are so beautiful that photographs genuinely don't do the job. Here's how this list works. 3 tests. 1, it has to be genuinely beautiful, not charming, not interesting. Beautiful, the kind of place that makes you pull over and just stand there. 2, land has to be actually affordable, under $1,000 per acre for raw land, or lots under $15,000, or homesteads under $150,000. 3, it has to be legally ownable, real title, real road access, real ownership, no scams, no gimmicks. 15 places. Let's find out what America's been hiding. Paradise 1, Newton County, Arkansas. First up, the only place in America where a completely free-flowing national river cuts through a wilderness so intact that black bears and elk still roam the ridges they've used for 10,000 years. Newton County, Arkansas. Population 7,800, spread across 821 square miles. Land prices $1,000 to $3,000 an acre in many areas. In the centerpiece, limestone bluffs rising 500 feet above the Buffalo National River, the first river in the United States designated as a national river in 1972, protected forever from damming. Floated in April, and the bluffs are bursting with dogwood and redwood above water so clear you can read the rock at the bottom. In fall, the hardwood forest goes full display. Oaks, maples, hickories, layers of color stacked up the ridgelines in every direction you look. The Buffalo runs 135 miles with no dams. That is increasingly rare in this country. The town of Jasper, the county seat, sits in a valley where a 4-minute walk takes you end to end through downtown. Median home price around $120,000. Land in the surrounding hills, parcels of 10 to 20 acres routinely list between $15,000 and $50,000. Some raw land off paved roads goes under $1,500 an acre. Arkansas has no state tax on Social Security. Property taxes in Newton County rank among the lowest in the nation. There are no building codes in unincorporated Newton County. Your land, your structure, your rules. The honest trade-off, rural means rural. Jobs are scarce unless you bring your own. Healthcare requires a drive. Cell service drops outside towns. But for $25,000, you can own a piece of a valley that Highway 7, one of America's most scenic roads, runs straight through. Most people driving it never stop. They have no idea they're passing some of the cheapest, most beautiful land in the South. That's the warm-up. Next stop, ancient cliff dwellings, a geothermal wilderness, and land at $300 an acre, inside the oldest designated wilderness in America. Catron County, New Mexico. Nearly 7,000 square miles, the largest county by area in New Mexico. Population, 3,400 people. Land prices $300 to $700 an acre, and inside it, the Gila Wilderness, America's first designated wilderness area, established in 1924 when conservationist Aldo Leopold looked at this landscape and said, "This cannot be touched." He was right. The Gila cliff dwellings, 180 rooms carved into cave openings in a canyon face by the Mogollon people in the 1280s. You walk through rooms that haven't changed since the 13th century. Admission, $10. The Gila hot springs flow from the ground at the wilderness boundary at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. You can soak in them for free. The Gila River runs cold and clear through cottonwood galleries in the high desert, and the night sky here is dark enough that the Milky Way casts a faint shadow on white ground. The Silver City Cultural Hub has a downtown art scene, good coffee, and a median home price around $165,000. Raw land in Catron County, acreage with canyon views and a seasonal creek, sells for $300 to $600 an acre. 20 acres of high desert, $8,000 to $12,000. New Mexico's property tax relief programs are significant for primary residents. The remoteness keeping prices down is the same remoteness keeping the sky dark and the wilderness intact. The trade-off, the nearest emergency room is 90 minutes away. Valley summers hit 100 degrees. This is real wilderness living with everything that means. Water haul, solar, generator, or a well. For someone who wants to own part of the oldest wild place in the country for $10,000, the door is open. It just takes a different kind of readiness. Up next, a location that settles the debate between desert and mountain by offering both at the same time.
Paradise 3, Harney County, Oregon. Southeastern Oregon, where the Great Basin spills north from Nevada, there is a dry lake bed called the Alvord Desert, 12 miles long, 7 miles wide, flat white alkali playa, so reflective that on windless days it creates perfect mirages. Behind it, Steens Mountain rises from the playa floor to 9,733 feet in a single geological fault block. The west side climbs gradually through aspen groves and glacial gorges. The east face drops nearly 5,000 feet to the desert floor in one vertical wall. You stand at the base and look straight up at a mountain. It's one of the most dramatic landforms in the lower 48. Harney County is the largest county in Oregon, bigger than Connecticut and Rhode Island combined. Population, 7,200. The county seat of Burns has 2,700. Raw land prices, $150 to $500 an acre for rangeland with views. Lots closer to Burns, $5,000 to $20,000. The Alvord Hot Springs sit at the edge of the playa in a privately operated facility run by the Davis family. 2 concrete soaking pools fed by geothermal water, cooled to around 105 degrees, with Steens Mountain rising directly in your sightline. Day use is $20 per person. It's worth it. The Diamond Craters, a volcanic field of lava tubes, cinder cones, and explosion pits 30 minutes east, are free to explore. The Malheur National Wildlife Refuge hosts 320 bird species through the seasons. Most of the year it's empty, quiet, and free. Oregon has no sales tax. Property taxes in Harney County are low. Starlink has dramatically changed the remote connectivity equation. The honest catch, genuinely remote means genuinely remote. The nearest hospital is a long drive to Bend. Winters at elevation are real. But for $10,000, you can own 20 to 60 acres of this landscape in the same state where coastal lots list at $300,000. Nobody's competing with you here. Period. Still with me? Good, because the next one has something none of the others have. 10% of the world's surface freshwater, 40 miles of painted cliffs, and land for $1,000 an acre. Paradise 4. Marquette County, Michigan. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan, connected to the rest of the country by one 5-mile bridge, flanked by Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron, forested with birch, maple, and hemlock so dense the canopy closes over summer roads. almost completely unknown to the 39 states that don't border it. Marquette County sits on the south shore of Lake Superior, and Lake Superior demands to be said correctly. It holds 10% of the world's entire surface freshwater. You stand on the shore and cannot see the other side. Storms move in like open ocean weather. In winter, waves freeze mid-crest into ice formations along the shoreline that look like something a sculptor left behind. Pictured Rock's National Lakeshore, 40 miles of sandstone cliffs painted in mineral streaks of orange, brown, white, and green, rises directly from the lake. Kayak beneath them for $45 on a guided tour. Tahquamenon Falls, one of the most voluminous waterfalls east of the Mississippi, runs deep amber from tannins leached out of cedar swamps upstream. Its upper falls stretch 200 feet wide with a 48-foot drop. 4 miles downstream, the lower falls cascade around a rowboat-accessible island. Land in Marquette County outside the city, $500 to $1,500 an acre for wooded land. 40 acres of hardwood forest with a creek, $30,000 to $60,000. Michigan has no tax on retirement income. The Upper Peninsula's cost of living runs about 20% below the national average. The honest downside, winter. Some parts of the UP average over 160 inches of snow per year. The economy outside Marquette City is thin, but the land is real. The water is everywhere, and the beauty is the kind that doesn't require a filter or a caption. 4 in. The next one is Colorado, but a Colorado that hasn't gotten the memo about its own prices. Paradise 5. Castilla County, Colorado. Castilla County, Colorado, far south end of the state, pressed between the San Luis Valley and the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the poorest county in Colorado. 5-acre parcels with mountain views, $1,500 to $5,000. Let that land in for a moment. 5 acres in Colorado for $1,500. The Culebra Range forms the eastern wall of the county, peaks topping 14,000 feet, including Culebra Peak at 14,047 feet. The Spanish settled this valley in the 1800s, and the Acequia water system, ancient communal irrigation channels still in operation, makes this one of the few places in America where water law and land history are woven together going back centuries. San Luis, founded in 1851, is the oldest incorporated town in Colorado. The Great Sand Dunes National Park sits at the northern end of the same San Luis Valley, where 750-foot dunes pile against the Sangre de Cristo Range in a scene that looks geologically impossible. The same mountains towering above the dunes are the same ones visible from your $1,500 lot. The night sky here carries a dark sky designation. At elevation, cold and black and total. The Milky Way doesn't just appear, it dominates. The trade-offs to know: a lot of the cheapest land in Castilla County is raw land without water rights, which in the arid West is not a small caveat, it's the central one. Verify water rights before you buy. Healthcare means a 45-minute drive to Alamosa. Winters at 8,000 feet are serious, but the door to Colorado land at $1,500 for 5 acres is open, and almost nobody is walking through it. 5 paradises in. If you're still here, you're exactly who this channel exists for. Quick ask, hit the like button right now. 1 second, it tells the algorithm this video is worth showing to more people. The difference between 10,000 views and 100,000 views is often just that one click. Hit it and let's keep going, because the next place has springs so clear the fish look like they're floating in air, and land for $3,000. Paradise 6, Gilchrist County, Florida. Here's what most people get wrong about Florida land. They picture swamps. What they're missing is that the North Central Springs region is one of the genuinely otherworldly landscapes in North America. More than 700 natural springs bubble up from the Floridian aquifer across this region. Clear, blue, 72-degree water year-round, fed by rainfall that filters down through limestone for decades before emerging as rivers.
Gilchrist County, 17,000 people, one traffic light, and the Suwannee River running along its western edge. The Ichetucknee River is fed by 9 named springs and flows crystal clear through a cypress and hardwood forest for 6 miles. Blue Hole Spring, the crown jewel of the system, is a first-magnitude spring that pumps out 67 million gallons of cold blue water per day. The pool is so transparent you can see the cave opening 40 feet below from the surface. In summer, you float the river through a cathedral of cypress and live oak on an inner tube from a state park concession stand, drifting through one of the most pristine spring-run rivers in the country. Land in Gilchrist County, $2,000 to $5,000 an acre for cleared or wooded land with county road access. 5 acres off a paved road, $10,000 to $20,000. Florida has no state income tax, no tax on Social Security, and Gilchrist County property taxes are among the lowest in the state. The trade-offs, summer heat and humidity are a full contact sport. Hurricane risk is lower here than on the coasts, but not zero. The region is rural, limited employment, limited medical infrastructure. But in October, when the tourists are gone, you have 72-degree blue water in a cathedral forest to yourself, in a county that most Floridians couldn't find on a map, on land that costs less than a semester of community college. This is the Florida they don't show you. Next, canyon country that makes Utah jealous, hiding in a state most people think is flat.
Owyhee County, Idaho, extreme southwestern corner of the state, where the Snake River Plain edges into volcanic uplands, river canyons, and high desert basins that most Americans have never seen. The Owyhee River has spent 10 million years carving canyons through black basalt, vertical walls reaching 1,000 feet, wild rapids, hot springs emerging directly from canyon walls mid-cliff, and golden eagles nesting on ledges that no one has disturbed in recorded history. The Bruneau Dunes rise 470 feet from the Snake River Plain, the tallest sand dunes in Idaho, rising from what used to be a giant glacial lake bed. The Bruneau Dunes Public Observatory is open on weekend evenings. The darkness here is extreme. Owyhee County produces almost no artificial light. Star parties at the observatory run for $5. What you see through the telescope is free. Owyhee County covers 7,643 square miles. Population, 12,000. Land prices, $200 to $600 an acre for high desert rangeland. Parcels of 5 to 20 acres, $5,000 to $15,000. Idaho has no state tax on Social Security for most earners. Homestead exemptions keep property taxes low. The trade-off is genuine. Nearest hospital is an hour away. Cell signal evaporates in the canyons. Summers hit 100 degrees in the valley floors, and the winter access roads become a separate challenge entirely. But the canyon country here, the kind that sells for 6 figures an acre near Moab, Utah, is sitting here priced like nobody noticed, because most people haven't yet. Paradise 8. Brewster County, Texas. Big Bend National Park, 801,000 acres of Chihuahuan Desert, Rio Grande River canyons, and the southernmost mountain range in the continental United States, gets fewer annual visitors than Yellowstone sees in a single summer weekend. It's not undiscovered, it's just genuinely far from everything, which is the whole point. And outside the park boundary, in Brewster County, raw land sells for $200 to $500 an acre. Brewster County is the largest county in Texas, larger than Connecticut. Population, 9,200. The nearest interstate is 3 hours away. The park holds some of the darkest sky readings in the entire lower 48. McDonald Observatory, operating on a peak above 6,700 feet, runs public star parties with telescopes powerful enough to show surface detail on Mars. Admission, $15. San Elena Canyon, Rio Grande, boxed by limestone walls, rising 1,500 feet on both sides, Mexico on one wall, Texas on the other. You rent a canoe for $70 a day and paddle through a slot in the earth with nothing audible but the current.
The town of Talingua, a former quicksilver mining ghost town that refused to fully die, has a few hundred residents, 2 world-famous chili cook-offs, and a bar with what most regulars will tell you without hesitation is the finest sunset view in Texas. Land outside the park boundary, 10 to 40-acre parcels from $3,000 to $15,000. Homes in Alpine start at $150,000. Texas has no state income tax. The honest deal, the nearest trauma center is 3 hours east in Midland. Temperatures hit 105 in summer. Supplies require planning. But land adjacent to one of America's most dramatic national parks for the price of a used motorcycle, that math doesn't exist anywhere else. 5 more to go. Next up, a place that looks like the Swiss Alps dropped a corner into rural West Virginia. Pendleton County, West Virginia. Population 6,500, sandwiched between the Monongahela National Forest to the west and George Washington National Forest to the east. 98% forested, one of the most densely wooded counties east of the Mississippi. The main valley follows the South Branch Potomac River between mountain ridges that reach 4,800 feet. In October, the hardwood color stacked ridge over ridge turns the whole landscape into something that belongs in a painting, not a real place in driving distance of the mid-Atlantic coast. Seneca Rocks, a jagged fin of Tuscarora quartzite rising 900 feet above the valley floor. Rock climbers from the entire eastern seaboard know this face. The hiking trail to the summit is 2 hours round trip and ends at a viewpoint that covers 4 states. Free. Spruce Knob, West Virginia's highest point at 4,863 feet, is 30 minutes west, and the Seneca Caverns run under the ridge nearby. $20 admission to walk through limestone formations that took 350 million years to build. Land in Pendleton County, $1,000 to $2,500 an acre for mountain land with hardwood timber. Parcels of 5 to 20 acres, $8,000 to $30,000. Homes in Franklin and Circleville start at $120,000. West Virginia has no state tax on Social Security. Property taxes in Pendleton County average $200 to $400 a year. The springs don't stop running, and the prices don't change. The Ozarks have been keeping this quiet for a while. Still 4 more, and the next one looks like the surface of a planet that isn't Earth. Paradise 10, Ozark County, Missouri. Population 9,200, deep in the Missouri Ozarks, far enough from Branson that the landscape is still in charge. The current river rises from a chain of first-magnitude springs and runs 134 miles through the Ozark National Scenic Riverways, the first national river system in the country, protected in 1964 to keep it in its natural state. Big Spring, just outside Van Buren, is the largest single-outlet spring in the United States. It pumps 286 million gallons of cold, clear water out of the ground every single day. Not a misprint. 286 million gallons from one hole in the ground. You can stand on the observation platform and watch a river being assembled from pure geology. Cost? Free. Alley Spring runs a turquoise blue so saturated it looks filtered. 1,000-year-old bald cypress line the banks. The spring-fed water stays 58 degrees year-round. In July, when the Ozarks hit 95, that creek is the point of the whole day. Float the current by canoe for 2 days, around $120 for the canoe. Camping at established river sites, free within the national river boundary. Land in Ozark County, $800 to $2,500 an acre. 5 to 20 acre parcels, $8,000 to $35,000. Some creek frontage land at $2,000 to $4,000 an acre. Missouri has no mandatory building codes in most rural counties, no state tax on Social Security. Property taxes in Ozark County average $200 to $400 a year. The springs don't stop running, and the prices don't change. The Ozarks have been keeping this quiet for a while. Still 4 more, and the next one looks like the surface of a planet that isn't Earth.
Paradise 11, Custer County, Nebraska. The Nebraska Sandhills are not a desert. They are 20,000 square miles of grass-covered sand dunes, the largest sand dune complex in the Western Hemisphere, stabilized by native grasses over 8,000 years until the whole landscape became a rolling sea-like topography of hills and interdunal wetlands and natural lakes fed by the Ogallala Aquifer below. No trees on the horizon. The sky so completely dominates the view that the horizon appears to curve. It doesn't look like America. It looks like somewhere that doesn't have a name yet. Custer County, population 10,000, centered on Broken Bow, population 3,500. The Middle Loop River runs through the county, cold, clear, spring-fed, full of trout and sandbars. Land prices, $200 to $500 an acre for pasture. Large ranches subdivide into 40 to 160-acre parcels at those prices. The night sky here is extreme. No major city within 150 miles in any direction. The light pollution maps rank this region among the darkest in the contiguous United States. This isn't the Milky Way as a faint smear. It's a three-dimensional structure. Astronomers drive from Denver and Kansas City specifically to get to this sky. Nebraska phases out taxes on retirement income under current law. Custer County property taxes are low, and this is real land, legal title, county road access, buildable with a well and septic. The trade-off, there is nothing else out here. No urgent care within an hour, no cell signal on many roads, winters with a wind that doesn't apologize, spring flooding along the river corridors. But 160 acres of rolling grassland with a spring-fed creek for $30,000? Show me where else that exists. 3 more. The next one has a mountain that generates its own weather and land that's essentially free by its own state standards. Paradise 12, Siskiyou County, California. Forget Los Angeles, forget San Francisco. The California most people have never seen is in the far north, Siskiyou County, 6,300 square miles, population 44,000, dominated by Mount Shasta, a solitary stratovolcano rising 14,179 feet, glaciers visible year-round, a summit so high it routinely generates its own lenticular cloud formations that hang above it like a halo. On clear days, Shasta is visible from 100 miles away. It doesn't look real from any distance. The McCloud River, one of the best wild trout rivers in California, flows from springs on Shasta's southern flank through old-growth forest to a series of 3 separate waterfalls, Lower, Middle, and Upper McCloud Falls, all within a mile of each other. Free to hike. The Castle Crags, vertical granite spires rising 4,000 feet from the Sacramento River canyon floor, are in a state park that most California hikers have never visited. Land in Siskiyou County, 5-acre parcels for $20,000 to $50,000. Homes in the towns of Weed, Ethna, and McCloud are $150,000 to $200,000, in a state where a parking spot in San Francisco can cost $80,000. There's a clear reason it's priced this way. The timber economy declined, jobs are scarce, the nearest major city is Redding, and Redding is a long drive to Sacramento, and wildfire risk here is real and current. This is Northern California fire country. Insurance is complicated and expensive, and that fact doesn't go away. But for the remote worker, the retiree, or the off-grid homesteader who wants land in reach of the most dramatic, isolated mountain in the lower 48, Siskiyou County has the inventory, and almost nobody is competing. Last 3. The next one has mountain views that rival Telluride at prices Telluride hasn't seen in 30 years. Paradise 13, Huerfano County, Colorado. While the rest of the world bids on Telluride and Aspen, there is a county in southern Colorado where the land prices didn't get the memo, Huerfano County. The Spanish Peaks,
2 volcanic intrusions rising to 13,626 feet and 12,633 feet stand independently above the valley floor with radial dikes of igneous rock fanning out like spokes for miles in every direction. The Ute called them Wahatoya, breasts of the world. Pioneers navigated by them on the Santa Fe Trail from 100 miles out on the plains. They are unmistakable and they are extraordinary, and raw land in their shadow sells for $1,500 to $4,000 an acre. Walsenburg, the county seat, population 3,600, sits at the intersection of I-25 and the road over Levada Pass towards Alamosa. Median home price, $120,000. Some parcels of 30 to 100 acres with full Spanish Peaks views for $30,000 to $80,000. Mountain land with landmark views for the price of a pickup truck. The Highway of Legends, Colorado State Scenic Byway 12, winds through red rock formations in spruce forest directly beneath the peaks. The arts towns of Levada and Cuchara have galleries, good local restaurants, and the quiet satisfaction of people who found something the rest of Colorado hasn't priced out yet. Colorado's property tax relief for primary residents is generous. No state tax on Social Security for most earners. The trade-off, limited economy, long winters. Pueblo is 45 minutes north for anything beyond basics, but mountain land within sight of 13,000-foot volcanic peaks in Colorado at $2,000 an acre. There is no comparison anywhere else in the state, and no reasonable argument for why it should still exist. It does. For now. 2 left. The next one brings us to the Pacific Northwest and a landscape that looks like it was painted by a committee of geologists who were also artists. Paradise 14, Garrett County, Maryland. Maryland. Most people reduce it to the Baltimore-Washington corridor or the Eastern Shore. What they're missing is the state's western tail, Garrett County, sitting on a mountain plateau at 3,000 feet, forested with old-growth hemlock and oak, threaded with cold trout streams, and priced at levels that make no geographic sense given what you're buying. Garrett County has Deep Greg Lake, Maryland's largest freshwater lake, 3,900 acres, 65 miles of shoreline. It has Swallow Falls State Park, where the Youghiogheny River drops over 3 separate falls, including Muddy Creek Falls, at 53 feet, the tallest free-fall waterfall in Maryland, in a gorge lined with old-growth hemlocks that were never logged. Entry to the state park, $3 per person. The Allegheny Highlands receive heavy snowfall through the winter, enough for skiing at Wisp Resort, snowshoeing on hundreds of miles of trails, and the kind of locked-in winter quiet that people drive 8 hours to find in Vermont and pay $400 a night for. Land in Garrett County away from the lakefront, $2,000 to $5,000 an acre for wooded land. Parcels of 5 to 15 acres, $15,000 to $40,000. Homes start around $150,000 in the county's interior. Maryland has exemptions on some pension and retirement income. And here's the geography that makes this remarkable. You are 2 hours from Baltimore, 2.5 hours from Washington, D.C., and roughly the same from Philadelphia. Mountain plateau, old-growth forest, trout streams, bear, bobcat, dark skies, and you can drive to the national capital for the day. Remote workers are finding this county, and the secret is slowly getting out. It's not fully out yet. 1 paradise left, and this last one is the one that ties the whole list together. Paradise 15, Wheeler County, Oregon. Wheeler County, Oregon, population 1,300 people across 1,716 square miles of central Oregon high desert. The county seat of Fossil has 400 residents, and sitting inside Wheeler County, outside the town of Mitchell, are the Painted Hills, an ancient volcanic ash landscape where the hillsides are striped in red, gold, black, and bronze, the colors of 33 million years of geological time compressed into rounded mounds that glow like something that shouldn't exist in North America. Photographers drive from Portland and Seattle specifically for this light. Scientists come for the fossils. John Day Fossil Beds National Monument protects 3 separate units of one of the richest Cenozoic fossil sites on the planet. The Painted Hills unit is free to enter. You walk to the overlooks on gravel paths. In late afternoon light, the hills turn deep red and the shadows go black, and the whole landscape pulses. There are words that do it accurately. The Sheep Rock unit has Blue Basin, a valley of blue-green fossil-bearing claystone that hikers call one of the most surreal natural features in Oregon. Also free. The John Day River runs through the county, one of Oregon's longest free-flowing rivers, known for smallmouth bass, steelhead, and some of the most remote river canyon scenery in the Pacific Northwest.